Hi everyone, welcome to our Friday in our Max Salary Week. This time we're not in New York, we're here back in Florida, transmitting from outside, and we love the sunshine, so we decided to move out. We hope that you're having a wonderful Friday. This week has been very difficult and special. You know, mental issues have violently attacked our society once more. Our hearts go out to the families and friends of the Ross Elementary School and to our country. This isn't an isolated problem, as we know. It's a problem that we need to take seriously. And our physician community has tried many things to reset our brains and our computers, as I call them, to help us. And there's just so much more that we can do. Today, we're going to talk about anxiety and how physicians can help and reach out to more patients. On Monday in our Max Salary Week, we introduced our topic of the week, which was precisely that, the business of dealing with anxiety. And we never really would have thought that we would have to deal this week with mental health issues in the degree that we're doing that, but here we are. On Tuesday, we were very fortunate to have Dr. Carly Cruz. She's the author of the book, You're Not Your Anxiety. And she talked to us about this mental health issue of anxiety and ways that she has developed to help others based actually on her own experience. And she opened up to us talking about how she dealt with that after the birth of her twin girls, who are now 5 years old. And she's a nomad with her business treating others with anxiety. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that. On Wednesday, we talked some more specifically about anxiety, and we gave a little bit of a challenge. Just, if you know of someone or you've been experiencing anxiety yourself, just give you a challenge to seek help. Is something that has to be recognized. Once we recognize a problem, as we'll talk in a second, then we can do something about it. And then Thursday, we reflected about our mental health, and we can go and go and go. But if we don't take care of our CPU, like I call our machine, our brain, give it breaks, clean it, give it maintenance, and fill it with good information, good input, our output won't be the best. So for us to be able to take care of others, we really have to take care of this machine that we call our brain. So let's mention 3 things about anxiety that I believe are important for everyone. And the first one I already mentioned is like anything else in life, we really must identify when we have a problem that needs to be treated, or when somebody that we know is having an issue that needs to be dealt with. And anxiety is basically fear, and it really becomes a problem when it paralyzes us. And it's one of the most, if not, I think it's actually, statistics say that it's the number one issue that keeps you from moving is anxiety. It's the number one mental health issue that we need to deal with. So having recognized this as a problem and wanting change voluntarily is actually one of the best predictors of future transformation. If you have somebody who has the problem but they're stuck, they're not able to see, they won't seek help, right? And if you make them seek help, it's not going to be as effective as if they recognize it. And that's for anything. If you have problems with addiction, if you have any other problems with depression, unless you really want to start the change, the transformation, nothing's going to help you for long-lasting results. And that's the first thing, recognizing that. Second, historically, in medicine, we have treated anxiety more like an isolated event, like this mental health issue. But now, instead of treating it in isolation, more clinicians and more research are using an approach called systems biology. So this approach will incorporate multiple modalities, from genomics to imaging of the human brain to animal models and even machine learning. And some clinicians have been starting to use functional brain imaging in the form of PET scans or functional MRIs to identify areas related to anxiety in our brain. And actually, they monitor changes that therapies are doing in our brains to show that there has been some change, how effective or not those therapies have been. We know that there's some specific areas in the brain, especially in the frontal area of our brain, that have to deal with our mood, with anxiety, and they have started to see this. The things that is not that out there yet, because it's a little bit expensive. There's not a lot of experience with it, but it has certainly been recognized, and we know that it needs to be addressed, the problem of anxiety, in a much more multidisciplinary way. Third, medications are only really part of the toolbox. So mindset reset and neuromodulation changes can happen when we even begin to modify our habits, treat inflammation, and connect with a good guide. A good guide can be somebody like a therapist or a coach. In the case of Dr. Carly Cruz, she actually mentioned something that's very important that we do in medicine. It's like, once you start treatment, you have to give it some time for it to work, but you give it a reasonable time. If that's not working, then you move on. And the same thing is with a therapist or coach. If you're really not connecting, and she mentions like 6 weeks in her case, then she moves on from that therapy, or she recommends that somebody else takes over. And remember that I'm giving you information here. This is not like medical advice or legal advice or specific accounting advice for what we're doing. It's more informational, but these are things that you can discuss with your physicians and your therapists and your coaches. So it's important that you have a connection with that therapist or that coach. So those are 3 things that are important for you to be able to deal with your anxiety. First, being able to recognize your problem. Number 2, treating it as a multidisciplinary approach. And number 3, if something is not working within a reasonable time, then seek change for that. Then, as a physician, we have different ways of helping people. And talking about Dr. Carly Cruz, she has multiple ways. We can call them revenue streams, or we can also call them sources that the physicians and clients can reach her. So if you haven't heard of our latest podcast, Design Your Physician Life, I invite you to listen to it with Dr. Carly Cruz, our last episode, because I'm only talking about 3 ways that you can help as a physician your patients, not only for anxiety, but for other medical issues and mental health issues. But she has actually different ways that we're not going to mention here that would be wonderful if you learn about. So first, she's helping her clients, her patients as a physician, right? She helped them be guided by her passion from her own experience. She actually suffered from postpartum mood disorder in the form of anxiety. We usually think about that as depression, but in her case it was anxiety, and this problem actually led her to become more interested in helping others. And what a better way than telemedicine, where she could find people, she's from Alberta, Canada, and that's where she can practice medicine. So unfortunately she cannot see patients from other places outside of Alberta. But having telemedicine in her life as a tool, she was able to see more patients. So as a physician, what can you do to provide telemedicine services? Well, you have to meet the licensure requirements in whatever state you want to practice. I'm in Florida, and as a Florida physician, my license allows me to provide telemedicine services for patients here in Florida. I'm not doing treatment for anxiety myself, but other physicians can do this for you, or you as a physician can do it for them. If you're not a doctor in Florida, for example, there's a special licensure that you can request where you don't necessarily going to be a physician in Florida, but you can do telemedicine for patients here in Florida. Other states might have similar things. So as a business, you also need to register as a business and then get all the telemedicine that's going to be compliant. For patient safety, you're going to need a website that's going to help you to connect with people, and also social platform exposure where people can get to know you as an expert. And remember, once again, what I'm sharing isn't medical, legal, or accounting advice. I'm sharing my experience with you, and I'm pretty sure that as a physician, you'll be able to do the best for your business. So second, what other way can you help your patients or future clients with anxiety or with any other mental health or medical issues? It's being a coach. And one can coach clients and not patients. It's a very important difference that we have to make. We have in our mastermind, we have many physicians who want to become coaches. And as a coach, we can achieve changes in our clients without the use of medication. One cannot prescribe, right? But it's very important that we have the distinctions in terms of the the agreements that we have with the patients, or actually it's going to be the clients. See, there has to be that difference. And it's easier to be a coach online than it is to be in a brick and mortar, as we've learned from our own experience with our attorneys. It's like when you have a brick and mortar, you have to like isolate everything, like there's no medical services or anything. Online you can have your medical service and you can have your coaching service, and that has to be clear. Usually coaches, what I've seen is coaches who have had coaches themselves, they do really well. You don't have to go to coaching school to be a coach to your patients, but it certainly helps you by giving you the structure of your treatment and connecting with others who have been in similar situations to help you succeed. And like everything, you're gonna need, like your business registration and your marketing and your website, and getting others to know you as the expert in the area that you want to coach them. In this case, we're talking about anxiety, so Dr. Carly Crew has been able to do that very successfully. Then third, the other way that she has been helping others with anxiety is being the expert who wrote the book. So from her story, we learned that she had always been a writer, and she was always, being involved in writing like poems and things like that. So she felt like that was a way that she could help others. And it took her many hours of writing and many years of experience with her patients for her to acquire the tools and the knowledge to be able to write that book, right? And when you write a book, writing the book is just like this small part. Really, for writing a book, for you to be successful, you want to really help others, it's a part of a huge business plan. Writing the book is a powerful tool only if it's used correctly. So one should really build an entire business plan. You have to determine if you want to retain your publishing rights. You want to determine which format, where you're going to publish it. If you have to connect with experts who have done this, you can decide that you want to do self-publishing, but you will still need some marketing agency to help you with all that stuff. Those other plans. So it's not only with the editing and the platforms, but also that editing. And you have to understand and plan to be able to share that information with the most people possible. Dr. Crew called it a work of love, and it is. But it doesn't have to be only like a work of love and passion, which is very important. A well-planned book can be able to help many. So there you go. As a physician, you can help many with anxiety by being their physician, by being a coach, or by writing a book, for example. And you can see many other ways that you can help patients by listening to our podcast, listening to Dr. Crew through her example. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and then we'll see you next week. This has been our Fridays in our Max Allure Mastermind Fridays or week, and we'd love to hear from you. Remember to hashtag live, hashtag replay, right? And give us some comments, give us some love, share if you like this information. Have a great week. Bye.